if you listen to the undercurrents that occur in everyday sort of life in New Zealand, I think people are ignorant to say that this couldn't happen here or this isn't us, because it did happen here and it is a lot of people in New Zealand.
We wanted to ask locals in New Zealand to reflect on the mosque attacks in Christchurch on March 15th, 2019. Has this attack been forgotten? Could such a tragedy bring any positives? Did the attacks affect the non-Muslim community? 15 days, 15 videos, marking the 2-year anniversary of the day that shook New Zealand. This is what they had to say.
I would say it's hidden. New Zealand has a good diversity in Auckland and Wellington and Queenstown, but there are other places that have hidden levels of that. I've seen it, being a person of colour, but yeah, I don't think it's explicit, but it is definitely hidden.
Yeah, I think there is, for sure. Like, you can't deny it. Some people, you know, are like that, but yeah, I can't say directly like anything around me personally, but you know, with social media and stuff like that, yeah, definitely you see a lot of it and stuff.
Not majorly that I remember. Sometimes it's just common to, like, I know, internet memes or humour or something, and you don't really pay close attention, but yeah, it's somewhat kind of present to a degree. I mean, not many, it's more like just not an understanding of other cultures and stuff like that. And that's kind of present throughout the world, I feel like.
Yeah, I think like not people like saying it out loud, but like saying it in jokes or something like that is, yeah. But then people take it like they think they're just joking.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think so, especially English, when English is a second language to me, and I was in a Kiwi company before. Little bit, but most of the time when you have a good communication with them, it's okay. But some of them, I heard my friends, some of them in other company or on the street, they don't want to talk, speak out. So even though they get a racism, so they just feel like okay, they didn't speak out. So yeah. It's happened. I think it happened anywhere, because different culture, different language, and different background. Yeah, so yeah, it's happened anywhere. But yeah, most of the time you just need a good communication, speak out to tell them what you think of that. I think when it's happened, I can accept that, but I need to say that. Yeah, my idea, my thoughts. What do you think of this, that?
Definitely after this, bringing light to the sort of situation, I would say that. I've seen even just recently when we had the posters by Charlie Hebdo of his Muhammad depiction plastered on the new Queenstown Mosque by an 18-year-old boy. I haven't witnessed anything myself, but I've definitely seen a lot of xenophobia and racism, as well as Islamophobia on the internet, where it's very easily accessible nowadays. You know, it only takes to go on the Instagram comments when you'd see hateful sort of comments like this. You know, growing up, when I think about it, I have seen a lot of intolerance towards other people, but generally as a kid, I didn't think much of it, especially since it didn't target me. Definitely after the 2015 Paris attacks and such events in Europe and America, the intolerance towards the Islam community definitely grew, and this then blew over when we saw what happened in 2019. So I would definitely say that it was expected, but nobody really thought about it until it was too late.
Before the event, as a student, as a young student, you sort of see a little bit of a, a bit of a banter, but it's nothing too serious. Nothing too serious. I mean, I can't say that it's specifically Islamophobia, but after the after the attack, I think everything becomes a lot more clear to us that as a nation, as a team of 5 million Kiwi brothers and sisters, boy, if anything, they're so much better. So much better. Look, on a human level, you got to expect some sort of intolerance, not just in New Zealand, but in other parts of the world. I think to expect perfection, you've got to be delusional. I mean, there's got to be some sort of intolerance everywhere we go. But to be honest, my recollection of this, that it has been a lot better than my expectation, by far, by far. It exists, but I don't think it's common. I don't believe it's common. It's quite a difficult thing. It's an intangible thing, which is quite difficult to quantify it, really. We'll never say that it's no longer there, but though I would say my recollections and my experience would suggest that it is, minuscule. And that is my experience.
But I feel like here it's a very friendly and welcoming place. People might not know much about Islam, but that doesn't mean they are against it. Like, it's just that they don't have much knowledge about it. But they're still very accepting and welcoming. I've, for the past, 7 years, just prayed, and no one's ever disturbed me in my daily practices. There have been, in Dunedin, a couple of odd people, dumb people shouting stuff in the streets, but it's a student city. I think they just do that to other people anyway sometimes. But in general, no, I think New Zealand's a great place, very welcoming.
If you listen to the undercurrents that occur in everyday sort of life in New Zealand, I think people are ignorant to say that this couldn't happen here or this isn't us, because it did happen here, and it is a lot of people in New Zealand that, racist jokes with your friends or things that people just say casually, it adds up, and this is why it happened. And so I think it was quite hard afterwards dealing with people who were just like, I just can't believe it. I would say it's common. I'd say xenophobia it's present, but New Zealanders, they sort of work to hide it. They're sort of like, I'm not racist, but, and then we'll go ahead and say something racist, and that's xenophobia. And I think if you look at New Zealand's history as well, like with the the Māori history, New Zealand has a huge, dark, violent past of colonisation, lack of acceptance of other people's beliefs and cultures, sort of, so I think it is prevalent. Obviously I'm a white passing young cis woman, and I haven't experienced racism, but when people say it exists, I believe them, and I have seen it in New Zealand.
And I work with some people who aren't white, and they tell me that they do observe it, so I believe them when they tell me that. Yeah.
Microaggressions, I guess, and people refusing to kind of unlearn stuff. Obviously, people feel offended when they have to work on their own beliefs and attitudes.
Yeah.
But it's like, why wouldn't you, in order to make other people feel more welcome and accepted? Yeah, long way to go.
Honestly, and for the last 26 years, I've been married, my wife from New Zealand for the last 29 years. We lived in Egypt for 2 or 3 years, then we came to New Zealand. And me and my wife and my children, we always just say it, New Zealand is the best place in the world. It is the best place in the world. You never feel you don't belong. This is home. With the Maori brothers and sisters, with the island brothers and sisters, with the Pākehā brothers and sisters, at work and school, in the streets. And, this is a beautiful place, beautiful country, and beautiful people. And we knew that this is just one-off. So that's why it was unbelievable to so many people. We did not expect that. This does not belong here. As everyone have said, it does not belong here.
Look, I've never considered New Zealand to be a xenophobic country. I mean, I think that I've only ever experienced a lot of acceptance of other nationalities in the past. I mean, in some sad, ironic state, I think we accept foreigners almost better than we do our Maori, you know, and I think that sometimes the best, well, I perceive us to be a very welcoming country.
I do believe there is still pockets of intolerance towards Islam within New Zealand, but it's something that we need to get rid of misconceptions and actually open up people's eyes to what it's really like to be a Muslim and being a follower of Islam. We're not anyone's enemy. You shouldn't be ours.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely exists. I know quite a lot of people living in Christchurch have talked about how they don't feel safe in some regards, but yeah, so I definitely do think it exists.
People do stare at me because of my scarf sometimes, but I think after this attack people are more aware of what Islam is all about and why we cover, because after the attack we had a lot of prayers happening in different mosques around New Zealand. I think I could see ladies coming with the scarf covered, and I had in one of the mosques that I go to in Auckland and Glenfield, there were ladies that come with a scarf, and I said, you don't need to cover your head. It's for us who believe in that religion, or it's like you're submitting yourself to the God. So it's not that it's mandatory for everybody to cover your head. So I think after this people are more aware of what mosque is and how does a mosque look like and what goes inside a mosque, because few of my friends, they are from India, and they came to visit us in the mosque, and they thought they had in their mind they had a totally different picture what mosque would be. But when they came and had a look, they were like, is this how it's a very normal place? And I said, yeah, that's what we need to come and see and feel and talk about it to understand each other.
I think I might have witnessed some indirect behaviors that they just arise because of the different cultures. Me wearing a scarf is like a sign of me being a Muslim. But I wouldn't say direct things or very obvious things that happened. And of course I wish we live in this utopic nation where we don't have any Islamophobia.
I find personally at high school and stuff, lots of the boys make really insensitive jokes, and that's their humour. So they'll make xenophobic jokes and stuff all the time, and you'll just sit there this is not okay to say at all, but that's why they're saying it and stuff. So I guess that's the only real aspect in which I've come across xenophobia and stuff like that. But I guess also it would be apparent in social media and all those different avenues and stuff where it can be hidden. No matter how many times you try to tell them that it's wrong, they will still use it, and they will still make these insensitive jokes and stuff, which are xenophobic and racist. There's no way about it. What they're saying is racist.
Yeah, I have. I witnessed a man shouting at a woman who was just sitting at the bus stop because she was wearing a burqa. Yeah, so that wasn't, I probably should have done something, but it was when I was quite young, but it was, yeah, not good to witness.
I had the fortunate experience of representing international students at university last year, and so a lot of the Muslim community were targeted by racist things that went on, and I could get notices of that, so it definitely does happen, and it's unfortunate.
This is something that we hear quite often now and then. I think even a couple of months ago now, maybe the Iraqi family, one of the survived, the family that lost one of their sons in March 15 attacks, was told in a supermarket while they were minding their business, their only wrongdoing was they were speaking Arabic. They were told to go back to where they came from. Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories. I wouldn't say it did happen to me, and directly no one told me to go back to where I came from. But the ambiance, racism and the prejudice is existing, and we all experience it to different degrees. But we see the stories of girls being dragged by their hijab, or by being told to go back to where you come from. You know, this are the story that we hear now and then.
Yes, I have. I'm from the UK, so over there I hear it quite a lot. In New Zealand, I haven't as much, but of course I'm a white person, so I'm less likely to see it. Have you?
I think so. I think definitely, like, growing up, I mean, yeah, even after the attacks, like at work, like some of my workmates, you know, even the day after said some horrible things, and I was like, you feel bold enough to say this the day afterwards? Like, you know, like just stuff like that. So, yeah.
It's not, I've not seen in New Zealand, but if something can happen here, I think people should be made aware of why it happened. If people are aware of our culture, more aware of our religion and what we stand for, because the meaning of Islam is peace. So we are people who stand and should speak about peace, and it should be shown in our day-to-day life as well. So if other people could see from our actions, that speaks a lot of what we are about. And so it's a way of Islam is a way of life. It has nothing to do what other people, you know, because we need awareness about what Islam comprises of, what are our teachings and about our way of life. Then I think we could, you know, erase all the misconceptions of what it is, like, to the normal people of what Islam is. Yeah, I think lots of people have their own assumptions of what Islam. So, yeah.